You said nothing was off the table.
Oh, I keep going. Have I stopped you at anything?
All right, here we go. Hi, Cuba.
Hi, my dear.
Thank you so much for granting this interview. Let's start off with the firing squad. What was it about the script that drew you to it?
So it's funny, I met Tim, who was a producer on a movie I did called Freedom years ago. I remember reading it, it was a slave story, and at the end of it, he wanted me to sing Amazing Grace, and I couldn't sing, and I was so, And we shot this movie in the middle of I don't know if it was the bayou, I can't even remember where we were, but we were in the middle of nowhere. We had horses and people dressed up as slaves and the whole thing. And then he says, okay, Cuba, you ready to do this song? And I was like, okay. So I said, I don't know the words. He goes, we'll put it on cue cards. And I'll never forget, I'm looking out and there's a waterfall and there's all these people, the slaves, and they're like looking at me and I'm like, amazing. And he's like, okay, no, that's great. Director was like, okay, we'll fix it in post. Fast forward to last year, Tim calls me up and he says, Cuba, I got this script. It's a true story of these 3 Americans that are caught up in this horrible situation overseas. They're put to death. It's one of those moments in history where this story tells it in such an emotional way. And I said, well, send me the script. So I sent the script, I read it, and I wept. And I called him and I said, you know why I really like this script? He goes, why? I go, because I get to redo that song. And since then, between the first time and the second, I'd been on Broadway doing Chicago the musical for a year. I was on the West End stage playing Billy Flynn for 5 months. My father had passed away in 2018. And it was one of those things where I always regretted never taking singing seriously. And I went and got a vocal coach for the Chicago musical for 9 months. And it was like my dad was talking to me. And so that coupled with the script and the story of these 3 men, I knew that this was God's will being done. We're in a time now, and I keep saying this, that we as a nation have gotten so far away from God. Like it's not even, people are fighting to not say under God indivisible in schools.
And then there was that video that you just saw with the pastor.
You know, I just see this pastor trying to give a sermon on a Sunday and a man comes up and points a gun and click and it doesn't go off and they tackle him, thank God. But it's like, there's no accountability anymore. It's like we as a world nation feel like we have lost faith in so many things, in so many ways, in so many areas of our life. The institution of marriage now is not even taken seriously. Like people think we can go on an app and have sex that way and not even have to consummate or even deal with any ceremonial connection that is our right, our God-given right to have 2 people come together to procreate and create life that continue us as human beings. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, what size you are, what religion you are, we procreate to continue as a species. And now we don't even, it's almost like that has become sport.
He said, be fruitful and multiply, and within the context of marriage.
Yeah, and you look overseas, what's going on in the world space, and how it's almost like in the commandments it says, thou shalt not kill, and even that is not even being considered anymore. If it's not, it's okay to kill if it's under your political beliefs. And it's like, you know, it's at some point, it's like I can only cry so much. I can only pray so much. But at a certain point, I have to say, what's my gift that God has given me? He's given me this vessel to embody a character and find truth in moments of life. He did it the first time when I embodied the character of Trey in Boys in the Hood with people who were really dealing with drive-by shootings in South Central Los Angeles. He continued it embodying the Master Chief Carl Bashir in Men of Honor, where he gave me an opportunity to portray someone who gave so much to our country, who lost his leg for our country, and was called racial things and said, you're subhuman, but yet he had the will of God to overcome any adversity. He gave me the opportunity to play Ben Carson in Gifted Hands.
Do you believe in miracles?
Ben Carson, he got into the Trump camp and then they attacked him. But they forgot that that was God's angel that he sent us. He was the first man to successfully separate Siamese twin infants who were connected at the brain. This is a man, this is an angel that walks amongst us. And to me, that all that explained to me is that we as a nation are so caught up. There's a wonderful movie called Bridge Over the River Kwai. And basically the idea of this movie is that these American soldiers during a war against the Japanese, they became prisoners of war and they encamped them. And while they were prisoners of war, because the Japanese commander said, you're gonna build this bridge for us. And by building this bridge, then they can go over and attack and kill more Americans. The captain said, no, I'm not gonna do it. So they put him in confinement and they kept him in there. And the movie goes and goes and goes until finally he breaks. And he says, okay, I'll build this bridge. And they build this bridge. It's a beautiful movie. And right at the end of the movie, when they're building, he realizes that his soldiers that he made that could build the bridge that they needed were gonna rig it and blow it. And he goes, no, they're gonna blow the bridge up. And all of a sudden they shoot him. What are you doing? You're forgetting that we're here to save. And he goes, what have I done? And he falls back and he blows the bridge and it saves the Americans. But he got so caught up in building the bridge, he forgot that it wasn't God's will. God's will was to get and save these people that were gonna be attacked. And that's the analogy that I'm saying right now. We're so caught up in politics and all of these things and your own personal beliefs, we got away from God. I had went to a screening, and at the end of the screening, Tim stood in front of this audience and he said, I wanna say a prayer. And we all bowed our heads and he started praying, and out of nowhere, I didn't know this was gonna happen. He said, anybody who wants to come to the Lord, just raise your hand. The hands went up. And after that screening, stop it. After that screening, these people came to Christ. Now, I'm not saying go see the Fiery Squad and I want people to come to Christ, because I'm not saying that. That's God's job. That's my job. It's almost like people say, what is your job as an actor for director? I said, he's the carpenter, I'm the hammer. I don't care if he's hammering this chair or if he's hammering a coffin. I don't choose which chair or which coffin. I don't care what your faith is. You can be Buddhist or whatever, but you come to this movie and there's something about it that it renews their faith. It renews that in them that there's something greater than them and what they're dealing with that is here to heal us.
This movie was the best out of all the Christian movies.
I think films like this, like Sound of Freedom, like Passion of the Christ, I can go on and on with these faith-based movies that remind the audience that no matter what you're going through, how dark it is, hang in there, because there's always tomorrow. And these are the things that affected me, and it am why I am here sitting in this chair.
Hey, there he is.
Here he is.
Show me the Oscar, right?
You were talking about some of your previous movies, Jerry Maguire. You won the Oscar for that.
Did I?
Very big deal.
I've been so blessed in the last year that it didn't matter to me what happened tonight.
But then you're sitting in this theater and you have all these people raising their hands that they want to go to Christ after watching The Firing Squad. Like, compare that.
There's something there. I keep telling all these stories. There's this one tale of this old Japanese man, and he's sitting there, and I'm gonna mess it up. But basically, the people from the town came to him and they said, oh no, we hear your son has been recruited off, he's gonna send him to war. Is this horrible? And he goes, maybe, maybe not. So he sent him to war, and he came back because he had gotten the Medal of Freedom. He said, this is great. Your son, he came back from the war, he got the Medal of Freedom, this is great. He goes, maybe, maybe not. And then when his son was home, because of the injury that he had from the war, he did something with the horses, and he lost all the horses. And he said, oh, this is so horrible. This is the most horrible thing. Maybe, maybe not. Flood hit the town. All of a sudden, they needed all of the pasture because the horses and the people weren't grazing on it. He said, this is great. You have a windfall. You have so much fortune now. Isn't this great? Maybe, maybe not. Live in the middle. Live in the middle. Don't praise too high and don't get too sad. And that's to me, who I am as an actor. I was told to play The People versus O.J. Simpson. That was the role I was given. It was the darkest time of my life. Was it good? Was it bad? I was told to play Nicky Barnes, an American gangster. It's such a dark character, but it's my vessel. It's God's vessel. It's affecting people the way it affects. And you can go on and on about Snow Dogs. Let's go! Light, dark. So I look at my experiences as an actor as This is the journey I'm on. And each role, there's a little scar that's a part of me now. And this is who we are. You know, we're imperfect beings. To answer your question, now that I remember it, yes, it was that same moment of when they said, and the Oscar goes to Cuba Gooding Jr., and me jumping on the stage was the same thing of seeing those people raise their hands. It was a connective tissue thing. I lived through both. So there you have it.
Is because of a closer walk with God.
You know, and that's the thing that I push back against. I've been a born-again Christian since '85, and I've raised kids. I have 2 sons, 27, 29, that are God-fearing. Took them to church every Sunday. I have a daughter that just turned 18. She knows that when I come into town, we go to church. Nothing has changed. My nanny, who used to be, Berdina Bros, she used to be Elvis Presley's masseuse. She tells a story to anybody who'll listen, how I won the Oscar, and that day I was picking up dog poop. And I was like, because this is my reality, this is my life. And after the next morning, still picked up the poop, because nobody in my household, my wife wasn't gonna do it, she had 2 young kids. It was my job to do it. But she just saw that as so, she said, if the public only knew, and I said, but this is my private life. You all focus on the headlines. You all watch the P. Diddy headlines, but I still am who I am. And like my mom says, never let them steal your joy. Never let them steal your joy.
Your mom, you've talked about your mom having tremendous faith.
She's the prayer warrior of the family. She brought us to the church on the way in Sherman Oaks, California. And when I was 13 years old, and gave my life to the Lord then. And then my kids all got baptized. My mom, every day, she's a prayer warrior. I have on my phone messages. And it's so funny, my mom will call and is everything all right? Oh no, I was gonna leave a message. Oh, okay, to hang up, and then a 4-minute therapy session of her just talking about life and giving prayers. And she came to the screening and prayed over the film and Tim and the message for this movie that it find the audience. But I told her, just like I told Tim and I told my prayer warrior mom, I said, we have the audience. The one true constant audience in Hollywood are the faith-based audiences. And I think it's because they're conditioned to put on their best dress every Sunday and go to church. And then when they hear, oh, there's a film we see, they go to that film. And that's why we've been blessed August 2nd to be on 2,500 screens, because we know that people are gonna come, they're gonna tell, and they're gonna be able to see it in a movie theater the way we created it. So
you said nothing was off the table.
Oh, I keep going. Have I stopped you at anything?
All right, here we go. There's some in Hollywood that talk about maybe you don't like Black women.
I know. So I'll tell you this. Wendy Williams started this. Wendy Williams started this because I dated Sarah Kopfer I've been with her since 1988, technically. But so in 1991, she went and did this whole thing about, he's got a white girlfriend, right? Well, she was right. And technically, I'm still married to Sarah Kopfer. It's just now her name is Sarah Gooding. And we have 3 continuations of our legacy. And I don't regret dating her. We separated in 2013. We've been separated now for 10 years. But now I'm dating this girl, ready for this? Claudine De Niro, who has Haitian, Brazilian, Italian. I mean, I should go back to white women. Because you talk about a temper. I mean, she looks like with the hair, but she's Haitian. I mean, it's not a thing that I ever think about. I don't go, oh, wow, you're gorgeous for a Black woman. I don't. I don't catch myself in that. And it's the thing where I was with Sarah for so long that they could say any narrative that they wanted to say. Did a movie with Halle Berry, and the first day after I got married to Sarah, the next day they flew me to Chicago and I'm making out with Halle Berry. She says, I'm the first girl you've ever made out because you just got married yesterday and I'm married to David Justice. And we laughed, but we're actors, right? These are gorgeous Black women. I did a movie, Fighting Temptations, and I had to teach Beyonce how to kiss. She didn't even know how to kiss a man. I had to show her to lean forward and her to push my lips back. That's why when I saw she dated Jay-Z, I was like, what? But it's like, it just is what it is.
You know, you just said you taught Beyonce how to kiss, right?
Yes.
That's going to be the biggest
I'm saying,
of all of that.
Ask her mom, ask her dad. That's a true story. Fighting Temptations.
Okay.
Said it was a very innocent kiss, but it was a kiss.
What do you want people to walk away with after they see the firing squad?
You know, I just want them to know, I get it. We're all going through something. And every day we wake up, it could be a diagnosis that rocks our world. It could be a death that we have to grieve. But never give up on God. Never give up on your faith. Because hang in there, because this too shall pass. And tomorrow's a whole nother day. And, you know, I've had my days. I've had my dark days. But I always say, God, thine will be done, Lord. Thine will be done. And it seems to work out for me.
When you're standing before Almighty God,
Yes, ma'am.
What is he going to say? Well done, good and faithful servant?
I hope he says, you did my will. You did my will. And, you know, and I'll say to him, well, Lord, you know I'm only human.